This
Heading.
conference will now be recorded.
Hi Ram. With a fresher student. Okay. Hi Amrita. Others not interested to introduce yourself? Sneha, fresher. Hi Sneha. Mahidhar, fresher. Hi Mahidhar. Viranjanelu, working as a data scientist. Wow. Hi Viranjanelu. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for your introduction and nice to meet you all. Okay. So, for me, experience doesn't really matter because I'll be considering every one of you as a fresher just because most of you are either completely new to Python or maybe have some idea on Python. Okay. So, let me walk you through the agenda first and set up the expectation for today's demo. Okay. So, agenda will talk about introduction to Python. So, I'll try to give you a good understanding on what Python is exactly, and applications of Python. We'll talk about applications of Python. Okay. Post which I'll be walking you through our course content. Okay. And once we are done with that, I'll be taking the question and answers Q&A if you have any. Okay. And also setting up the right expectations is always important, guys. At least that's how I look at it. So you will have complete picture of what you will be what you will be learning in the next 6-7 weeks. Okay, so the session is all about that, right? And it's really difficult to show what we are capable of in 1 year, sorry, 1 hour, but we'll try to cover as much as possible and utilize this 1 hour to the best. Okay, so a couple of things I'm expecting from you is, being interactive. So try to be as interactive as possible. Like I said, there is nothing to be felt inferior, right? So though you are a fresher, you don't really need to bother about that. And in my sessions, you are allowed to use Google because my only purpose of asking questions is interaction. Okay. And second thing, please use chat window as much as possible, guys, because the session is being recorded. So it will not create any disturbance when you are listening it again. Okay, so try to use chat window as much as possible. I'll be looking at your messages and will be addressing them. And this doesn't mean that you are not strictly allowed to unmute yourself. You can feel free, unmute yourself, and you can talk whenever you feel that message won't convey what you're thinking. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get started. So what is Python, guys? Even before we jump on to what is Python, what is a program or a programming language? Let's start with program. What is a program according to you? What is a program? Okay. So a program is nothing but a set of instructions, guys. A program is nothing but a set of instructions which we feed to our computer to get it as done. As simple as that. Our computers are not self-intelligent. They cannot do everything by itself. They are just not self-intelligent, but they are capable of doing anything. As simple as that. They are not self-intelligent, but they are capable of doing anything. given proper instructions, you can do wonders using your computer base. As simple as that. Okay, so a program is nothing but a set of instructions which you give to your computer to get a task done, right? And then programming language. Okay, so programming language is nothing but the way you pass on those instructions to your computer. Okay, so you should need some means of communication, right? That means of communication is programming language. You interact with your computer using a programming language by passing set of instructions using that programming language. As simple as that. Examples of programming language, C, C++, Java, Python, Scala. There are a lot of programming language to list out. Okay, so in our case, we are going to learn Python, and by which we will be learning how to pass on instructions to your computer to get something done or to get your tasks done. Okay, so Python, like any other programming language, have its own keywords and its own constructs, have its own features, guys. Okay, but whenever we are coding, will your computer be able to understand everything? So what are the code you are typing, right? Will your computer be able to understand that code? Yes, no, maybe. I have got one answer, yes. Any other answers? Come on, guys. I know I'm disturbing your weekend, but you know, it's for a good cause. Okay. So answer is no, guys, because your computer can understand only zeros and ones. Your computer can understand only zeros and ones. You might ask me, boss, then we are passing a lot of instructions using characters, numbers, or special symbols, or using different keys. And similarly, computer is also giving results in a different forms, right? Be it a text form, or be it a multimedia format, or be it anything else. Okay. There are a lot of process that is happening in the backend, guys. So whatever the instructions you are passing on is not directly passed to your computer, or whatever the output your computer is returning is not directly passed to you. So in between, there are a lot of things that are happening. There are a lot of things that are happening. So basically, computer can understand only zeros and ones. Okay, and the language or the category of language your computer can understand is low-level language. Low-level language. Okay, so language which your computer can understand is what we refer to as low-level language, and we also have something called as high-level language. This high-level language, this high-level language is something that is understandable by the developers, we, okay, are human beings, right? So this is the categorization of low-level language and high-level language. And talking about low-level language, you have a lot of programming languages like COBOL. Okay, and talking about high level languages, whatever you are using to pass on instructions to computer, right, they all comes under high level languages: C, C++, Java, then Python, Scala. There is a huge list to follow. Okay, they are all high level languages. So what are the languages we are using to pass on instructions to the computer are what we refer to as high level language. So yes, Python is a high level language, which means you can understand and you can pass on instructions to the computer using Python. Okay, and then talking about low level languages, low level languages are the ones which are easily understandable by the computer. One such example is COBOL. Now, since we are using high level languages, since we are using high level language, which are, which is understandable by us, but not by computer, there should be some component in between to convert these instructions to the format your computer can understand. Agreed? A simple logic, guys. So for example, I'm a Hyderabadi. Okay, I'm from Hyderabad, right? and I'm a Hyderabadi. I'm fluent in Telugu. I can speak Telugu, Hindi, and English. Okay. Let's say maybe tomorrow, if I went to Tamil Nadu, I'll not be able to directly interact with them because I don't know Tamil. Let's say the other person, Tamilian, he also knows only Tamil. Let's assume he doesn't know English and Hindi. Okay. Now there is no single means of communication for us or a common communication language for us. Since he doesn't know any of the languages I know, and I doesn't know the language he know, right? So definitely my communication is not going to be straightforward with him. Okay, so what I'll have to do here? What I'll have to do here? Guess. Yes, we will need a translator. We'll need a translator. Okay, so that guy will be translating Telugu, whatever I'm talking or whatever I'm instructing in Telugu to Tamil, and he will be translating whatever the other person is instructing in Tamil to Telugu. Translator could be anything, could be a person or could be a Google translator or could be any translator machine, whatnot. Okay, so similarly here the translator is what we call as compiler. Translator is what we call as compiler. So compiler is a computer program. Compiler is nothing but a computer program which would go and translate what are the instructions we have given to the format in which your computer can understand. That is what typically a compiler does, guys. A compiler is the component which actually converts the high level language instructions you have given to the language that is understandable by the computer, and those are the, I mean, once converted, those understandable instructions will be executed by your computer. Okay, so that is what happens in the backend. So this compiler is the guy who is doing this trick for us. Okay, now this compiler converts our high level instructions, high level language instructions compiler to machine understandable instructions. Okay, so this is the one which is doing the trick for us. Okay, now high level Python is a high level language. Now talking about Python features, it's a high level language, and then it's pretty easy to understand. Even before that, let me ask you one more question. Okay, so why have you opted or interested to join Python? So when you have joined this demo, it means that you are interested to learn Python, right? At least you wanted to see what Python is all about. You want to give it a try. Okay, so my question is, what pushed you to choose Python? Okay, so your answer could be anything, guys. Maybe your elders have suggested you to go with Python, or maybe you want to get a job, so Python, and then maybe you want to learn data science, you have chosen Python. Automation, you have chosen Python, or you want to get into data related technologies, you have chosen Python. Your answer could be anything, but I just want to hear from you. I have got one answer, Ram. He wanted to get into automation, so he have chosen Python. What about others? Timaredi has a project on Python. Okay, great. So you have chosen Python. Others? Mahi is curious. Great. I was suggested to learn Python to help me create a possible career options in the future. I wanted to learn more about it for the future. Okay. Now let me tell you what, guys. Okay. So most of you have chosen Python either to get into a job or someone have suggested you. Okay. And the second reason could be to upgrade your current technology. Okay. Or maybe you want to get into most happening technologies. So for example, you want to get into automation, or maybe you want to get into data science, or maybe you want to get into data engineering, the most happening technologies, right? So this is your reason. And I'm not sure how many of you have heard this, but this is something which I have been hearing every now and then. Python is everywhere. As simple as that. I can summarize all your answers to this. Okay, at the end of the day, learning Python will create more opportunities for you in terms of your career. Okay, so as simple as that, guys. So these days, you know, I am also hearing this term called data full stack. Data full stack. Okay, so the typical skill sets for a data full stack guy is data engineering, and then data science, and also data analyst, or data visualization, or you can also call it as BI, business intelligence. There are a lot of words or a lot of terminologies for the same work. Visualization, or you know, data analyst. Okay, so these three roles, business intelligence or data visualization or data analyst, they are one and the same. uh, we call that as reporting basically. Okay, so these three skill sets together is what we call as data full stack. So for example, a data engineering will have data engineering skills as the primary skill, and will have some good idea on data science and data analysis. Similarly, data scientist will have data science, machine learning, deep learning, you know, whatever that comes under data science bucket. It's a vast bucket. Okay, will have that as a primary skill, and he would be knowing you know, good amount of data engineering and data analyst skills as well. Similarly, data analyst or a BI will be having you know, some reporting tool as his primary skill, like Power BI, Tableau, or you know, MicroStrategy, and he will have you know, some idea on data science and data engineering. Okay, so like I said, data full stack is the most happening thing in the industry right now. I mean, you don't need to learn all the three, but at least you know, one of it will do. And for data engineering and data science, Python is the guy. Okay, so you know, you can't eliminate Python from data engineering and data science. Maybe you want to get into data engineering, you need Python. Maybe you want to get into data science, you need Python. Okay, so Python is a rock star there. And maybe if you are interested in developing web applications, or maybe you want to get into full stack development, Python is a good choice, but it's not the ultimate choice. You know, the primary choice for full stack is still Java. Okay, and for automation, yes, Python. People are using Python left, right, and center for automation. Okay, and you know, even developing APIs. So and also, you know, developing any desktop applications, we have Kinter APIs using which you can develop desktop applications by using Python. Okay, so that is the reason why this sentence or this statement have become common everywhere. Python is everywhere. Okay, now second thing, Python is pretty simple to use, guys. Easy to learn. Python is pretty simple to learn. The reason being, you don't have a lot of complexities there in Python. You know, say for example, you don't really need to define the data type of a variable. Your Python is capable enough to understand what is the type of data you are storing. So that feature is what we call as typed feature. I will be reiterating on all these things once we start our session in depth, guys. But just that I want to give you some examples to prove Python is the easiest language to learn. Okay, so it doesn't have a lot of restrictions on the syntaxes. It doesn't have, when I say a lot of restrictions, you know, the syntax, you don't have semicolons, you don't have any other stuffs. Okay, but still you need to follow few syntaxes that is must for any programming language, but Python is little lenient. And then you have a lot of inbuilt packages available, guys. You have a lot of inbuilt packages available. Okay, when I say a lot of inbuilt packages, the best part of it would be you don't need to write hundreds of lines of code. Instead, you can just import that package and then use it, as simple as that. Okay, so that's the beauty of Python again. Okay, you don't have to implement a lot of code, but instead you can use the packages. It's an open source programming language. How many of you know what is open source? I mean, any programming language is open source though, but how many of you know what is open source? Okay, the source code is available, guys. When I say open source, the source code of that particular tool is available, and you can also contribute. Say, for example, Ram have written a couple of things for automation, and he knew the value of the scripts. Let's say those are the scripts which would solve the common problems, right? So he can publish them. He can publish them. Once Ram have published them, you know, me, Mahi, Gangadhar, anyone can use it. We don't need to re-implement that logic. Just we will import whatever Ram has published and we can use it. So that way we have a lot of things already pre-implemented. All we just need to do is download the respective packages and then use them. Okay, so the easiest programming language. I will underline this and I will also mark this in bold. Okay, so my personal experience too, guys. I have worked with Python, I have worked with Java, I have worked with Scala, because when I started my career as a data engineer back in 2013, you know, people were using Java for developing big data applications. Back then, they used to refer them as Hadoop developers. Hadoop developers. So I was using Java to develop the applications, Hadoop applications, and then you know, in 2006, in 2017, Spark have come into picture. The moment Spark have come into picture, we will have to migrate all the Hadoop applications, whatever we have developed, into Spark applications. For that, we need Scala. I mean, Spark supports Java too, but Scala being its native programming language, will have to migrate all these Hadoop Java applications to Spark Scala applications. And then 2018 or mid of 2018, this PySpark came into picture. And when this PySpark have came into picture, we'll have to now migrate everything to PySpark using Python. Okay, so from past 4.5 years, I have been using Python and I have become a huge fan of it. Okay, because it doesn't have a lot of complexities, unlike Java and Scala. Okay, and then it's a cross-platform language, which means you develop the programming, I mean, you develop the code in Windows, it will run elsewhere. Okay, you can run the same code in Mac, you can run the same code in Unix. Okay, and that is what we call as cross-platform. You know, when I say platform, platform would always refer to the environment in which it is developed. Okay, and whenever I say platform, I'm referring to the operating system you are using. And then whenever I'm referring to infrastructure or resources, I'm referring to your RAM and processor, because this is where your exact actual processing happens. Okay, and whenever I'm talking about memory, memory means RAM, and whenever I'm talking about compute or cores, I'm talking about processor cores. Okay, whenever I'm referring to disk or storage, I'm referring to hard disk, HDD, your hard disk drive. Okay, so these are the common terminologies, guys. You know, you will be seeing them often in the reading material, or you will be seeing them often in the blogs which I'll be sharing with you, right? So whenever I refer to platform, whenever I say platform, I'm referring to operating system which you are using. And then whenever I say infrastructure or resources, for any program to run or for any software to run, At the end of the day, you should have sufficient RAM and sufficient processing capability processor. Okay, and then RAM is often referred to as memory, and processor is often referred to as compute or cores. Okay, so the reason being the reason being referring it to cores is at the end of the day your software runs in processor cores. At the end of the day your program runs in your software or your program or whatever it is runs in the processor cores. Okay, the more cores you have, the more processes you can run simultaneously. So for example, if you are using an i5 machine, your i5 machine is a quad core processor. It has 4 cores. Okay, and you must be familiar with this particular term in your mobile as well, like Snapdragon octa-core, Snapdragon quad-core, Snapdragon hexa-core, Helios octa-core. Okay, so basically the more cores you have, the more parallel processes you can run, guys. Okay, and then disk, you're all aware of a disk storage. At the end of the day, this is where you will be permanently storing your data. Okay, are we good so far? Everyone? Okay, so right from the day one, I will be emphasizing on writing a good and optimized code, guys. Okay, we should, get into that practice, because, it's not like you write some code and then you will not be able to optimize it at a later point in time. No, we shouldn't get into that scenario. So that is the reason for us to understand these things is also pretty important. Okay, so for example, whenever you have created a variable, what happens in the backend, right? How the resources are utilized. Okay, and then maybe you are creating a list, or maybe you are creating a dictionary, or maybe you are creating a tuple. What exactly happens in the backend? So what is the right data structure to choose? So these things, right, I'll be emphasizing a lot. So that is the reason I'm giving you this introduction. So knowing these things is also important, right? And like I said, this is a demo, and all these things will be again repeated, and we will go damn slow there. Like first 1 week, 1.5 week will be slow, guys. You'll have to bear with me, right? And keeping whatever we have discussed in mind, I have created the course content. The duration of this course is going to be 6 to 7 weeks. Okay, so we'll have that leisure of, or the luxury of five sessions. Okay, so that you have more questions, or maybe we want to discuss something else, we can utilize that. But like I said, we will be having 6 to 7 weeks of course, and the sessions would be from Monday to Friday, and the timings will be announced by your consultant, Career 80 folks. Okay, and now let me walk you through this course content. Okay, so my course is called as Comprehensive Python. For freshers, this course is more than enough to crack an interview, okay, or get into a job. But for experienced, generally nobody would be selecting you based on a programming language. I hope every one of you are aware of it. Okay, so generally, you apply for a data engineer role, they also test you in Python. You apply for a data scientist role, they also test you in Python. Similarly, you apply for a web application role, they'll test you in Python. Okay, so generally for experienced professionals, technology is what matters, not the programming language. Okay, but you will be asked questions on programming language, and you will also need programming language to implement applications in the technology. For example, we have one of our participant who is data scientist. So for him to write any ML application, he would need Python. There are other alternatives too, like R and to some extent Java, but Python is more scalable compared to those programming languages. When it comes to Java, we don't have a lot of libraries available, and when it comes to R, it's not scalable compared to Python. Okay, so I have designed my course in such a way that once you have completed this course, you can get into whatever you want. Say for example, you are looking for a data science. Yes, you can go ahead and join data science course. Maybe you wanted to become a data engineer. You can go ahead and join a data engineering course. But for freshers, you want to attend interviews, just go through this course and start attending interviews. Okay, so this, maybe you want to get into full stack, again the same is the case. You complete this course and get into full stack course. Okay, so this is going to serve all the purposes of students, guys, I mean my trainees. So module 1 is all about basics of Python, where I'll be automation for cloud. I'm not going to deal any use cases that relate to automation, Ram. Okay, I'm just going to cover Python. Let me walk you through the course content, then you'll be able to understand. Okay, so I'm not gonna get into the OS modules and other modules, but I'll be covering the generic Python. Okay, so introduction to Python, and then we will be using, we'll be doing installation and setup. So here we will use three IDEs. I mean, three ways of implementing Python code. One is the raw way of doing it, okay, using terminal, and the second one is notebook environment, where we'll be using Google Colab. The advantage of this is Google Colab environment is similar to your Jupyter Notebook, and also Databricks Notebook. Databricks is a platform which is used to develop big data applications, guys, PySpark applications, and Jupyter Notebook is a platform which is predominantly used by data scientists for writing their machine learning code. And Google Colab is a cloud version of Jupyter Notebook. Google Colab is a cloud version of Jupyter Notebook. All you need is a Google browser. All you need is a browser, not even a Google browser. You just need a browser and a Gmail account. And Google is offering this tool for free of cost with decent resources. Where you can run, decent applications, guys, with some good size. Okay, and also I'll be showing you IDE way of implementing things. Okay, so here I'll be walking you through PyCharm. But like I said, 80% of our course will go with the second approach, notebook, where we'll be using Google Colab. 80% of our course. Okay, so this way nobody will use in the real-time industry, so I'll not be emphasizing a lot on that. Maybe I'll be showing you maybe one or two examples, not more than that. But remaining 20% I'll be using PyCharm, so that you'll have your hands dirty with PyCharm as well. Okay, so then the basic programming constructs, which is common for all the programming languages: keywords, variables, data types, conditions, loops, control structures, arrays, functions, built-in functions. Okay, and then we'll have Python strings and built-in features of Python strings. Then we'll talk about date, calendar, and time delta modules. And then we'll talk about Python lambda functions, which is pretty helpful for developing PySpark applications. And then we'll talk about Python modules, file IO. When I say file IO, here we will get to work with different file formats, .txt, and then I'm going to show you .xl, and I'm going to show you .json. Okay, like how to do a read and write operation on these files. And the second module, this is the heart of our course, working with collections. So not just our course, guys, for any programming language, collections is the heart. Okay, so here I'll be walking you through 4 important collections we have in Python: list, tuple, sets, and dictionary. Okay, and there is one variant of sets which we call as frozen set. I don't want to call it as a 5th collection, but it's the variant of set. Okay, so we will be talking about frozen set as well. And then few miscellaneous topics where I'll be dealing with exception handling, and then Python email I'm not covering, guys. I'll just give you the code because there are a few issues with the Gmail settings. Okay, but I'll be giving you the code. Then Python JSON, and you'll also get to know about how to use decorators and generators in Python. Okay, so once the module 4 is completed, you are ready to take up any course you are looking for. Okay, from module 5, it's all about giving you a high level understanding on Python, how Python can be used in different streams, especially data streams, be it data science or data engineering or data analyst. So module 5, I'm gonna cover Python for data science, where I'll be walking you through few modules like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Seaborn. Don't expect me to deep dive, guys. It's going to be a pretty high level introduction. So I would be taking only 3 to 4 hours for this module. Okay, so just to give you a flavor of how the Python will be used in data science applications. Okay, anyway, whenever you are opting for a data science course in whatever the platform you are interested in, they will be teaching these modules in depth. They'll be starting with these modules. Okay, but here, I will be walking you through the NumPy, and then we'll try to give you some better picture of it. Okay, like once we are done with NumPy, we will do a workshop. So I'll walk you through that, and then after Pandas, we'll do some exploratory analytics, right? And then module 6 is all about Python JDBC, guys. So talking about Python JDBC, I'll be introducing what exactly an RDBMS is to you, because most of the folks here are freshers. I'll show you how to do those CRUD operations. When I say CRUD operations, create, read, update, and delete operations in your RDBMS, and then we will get into Python code and do the same CRUD operations on a database using Python. Okay, with which we will be wrapping up our course. Okay, and USPs of my course is workshops, guys. Okay, so generally during these workshops, right, you will be coding. I'll give you the required use cases, and you will be writing the code. I'll give you some time, and at the end of the day, I will be explaining the code. Okay, so firstly, once we are done with half of the module 1, we will have our workshop 1, where we will try to code some simple games using Python. And once that is done, when we are into object oriented programming structures, once we are done with object oriented programming structures, I will be we will do a solution, or we will implement a solution for call center payment system. You'll not get that code anywhere, guys. That's completely my brainchild. Okay, so we will start with a simple discussion, as if we have a client and they have come up with the requirement, and then we'll sit together and design the solution. We'll talk about advantages and disadvantages, then we'll get into the implementation part. Okay, call center payment system is what we do after object oriented programming structures. This is what it is. Okay, and then once we are done with NumPy and Pandas, right, I will be giving you some introduction to image processing, like what exactly a pixel is, and then how these RGB components are used, right? And then we'll try to create a simple simple photo editor application, where we can crop an image, or maybe tilt an image, or flip an image, and then um, adding some effects, right? It's a open source use case, guys, from medium.com. Okay, but I'll be utilizing it. And then again, talking about Pandas, we will do some exploratory analytics on Titanic dataset. So we'll take a Titanic dataset and we'll try to do some exploration, like what are the different parameters that have affected the survival rate, or be it a gender, or be it the class in which they are traveling, or be it the death in which they are staying, right? So we will try to use Pandas and then some visualization modules to do some exploration there. Okay, and apart from that, we will also do some competitive coding examples, guys. So we have competitive coding platforms, right, like HackerRank, HackerF, LeetCode. Okay, we'll pick some interesting problems from there, and we'll also do that. Okay, so like I said, my course would mostly drive you into the generic Python, but not the Python that is required for some specific technology. But I, being a data engineer, and have some good knowledge on data science, most of my examples and most of my orientation will be in that direction too. Okay. So that's all I have from my side, guys. Now the floor is open for questions and answers.
Yeah, thank you so much for the uh, course contents, whatever you explained. This is Gangadhar here. Thanks for
Yeah.
that. So my question is, I'm working as a business analyst.
Business analyst.
Yeah, so what area under data full stack, what area suits for me?
So I
So
would want you to
yeah,
start with data engineering, Gangadhar. The reason being today
mhm,
with cloud, right? So the typical expectation from a data engineer is a SQL and Python.
okay.
I assume you must have some knowledge or some hands-on with the basic SQL at least.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm working with that, both SQL. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So learning this Python would give you wings to learn PySpark.
Okay. So you mean
Okay.
to say I need to start with the data engineering?
I would strongly recommend you to start with data engineering because data science is vast, and
Okay.
since you are into the BI role
Mhm.
where you are doing, so you must be using some Power BI or Tableau, right, or MicroStrategy.
No, actually, we are not into that Tableau. We are using Informatica on the ETL
Oh,
side.
Informatica. Okay, got you.
Informatica, and
So
yeah,
you must be
most of the time I'll be working on the data integration.
got you. Then I would
Yeah.
strongly recommend you to get into data engineering. The reason being, whatever you do using Informatica, you will be doing the same with PySpark. Operations would always be same.
But I've never, I mean, I have very minimal experience on the exposure on the Informatica because whatever we do, the developers, ETL developers, they will work on my
Okay.
develop. Yeah, that is whatever the or whatever the outcome we do, that flows into developers. And
I got you. So basically, you are kind of playing a role of business technology analyst,
yeah, yeah,
where you connect business with technology, correct?
yes, yes.
Got you. So I would highly recommend data engineering, Gangadhar, for you.
Okay, okay, okay. Data engineering and so the okay, okay.
Okay, I mean the moment you have become a data engineer, you must be
Then
observing.
what is this BA? I'm also looking into this third option, BI data visualization data analyst. What kind of
So typically, we have some reporting tools like Power BI
okay.
and then Tableau.
Uh-huh. Okay, got it. It's kind of
Okay,
reporting tool kind of. You mean?
so basically, you do reporting. When I talk about
Okay,
business intelligence,
got it.
again, it's like similar role whatever you are playing right now. So
Mhm.
basically, this data analyst would follow up with the data engineers and get the data they are looking for. And
Mhm.
basically, now whatever you have done, right? So the
Mhm.
next step would be by your ETL developers to load the data, and
Correct.
then this BI guys would come into picture.
Yeah. Okay.
They utilize that data lake to build some business reports which would help your higher management.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So for my role, data engineering is suitable for as per you. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that information.
No worries. No worries, Rangan. And a couple of things from my side, guys, because there are a lot of freshers in the session today. Okay, so please don't ask me interview questions. Okay, I'm not someone who would give you a list of 100 questions and ask you to mug it up before going to interview. No, I would never do that. Okay, and there is no standard set of interview questions, guys. So generally, I have attended a lot of interviews. Currently I'm working in my fourth organization in my career, and every time I shift, I would at least have 5 6 offers in my hand. Okay, so I have attended more than 50 60 interviews so far, and my experience out of it, no, there is nothing called as standard interview questions. Okay, so it's general. Let's say I am interviewing maybe Sneha. Okay, and I will be testing her with some use cases which I face in my project. Okay, so I don't believe in something called as interview questions. If you force me or if you keep pushing me for an interview question, I'll just Google it, interview questions, and then whatever I get, I'll copy and paste it for you. So there is no point in asking me for interview questions, guys. That's a big request from me. And secondly, I'm not going to treat you like college students. Okay, I expect every one of you to be professionals, and I don't even want to call you as students. You are my trainees. You are my trainees, and I'm your mentor, trainer or mentor. I'm guiding you through a right direction to get into your, I mean, to achieve your goal, be it getting a job or be it, getting the knowledge that is required to learn the technology you want to get into, right? So that's how I want you to look at me. Don't treat me like a professor or, don't get into that academic kind of thing. I'm your trainer or I'm your mentor, giving you a good direction to reach your goal. As simple as that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense actually. So you are more into practicality, not on the
Yes.
bookish kind of, right? Yeah, that is very much useful.
And secondly, I'll give you a lot of resources, guys. I'll give you all the websites, whatever I follow for, beautiful articles on Python. I'll give you some good websites where you can practice Python coding, which would give you a wider scope. Okay, and then I'll give you some good websites and reference books, to learn Python right from the basics. Even if you are a fresher, even if you are not from a computer science background, you will still be able to understand Python using those reference books, guys. Okay, at the end of the day, my session would be the biggest reference for you to start with. Okay, but like I said, don't have an academic mindset getting into this training.
Yes,
Okay,
Suresh.
so that's
So
from your side.
how about the software availability, like to
Uh,
practice?
we will use Google Colab, Gangadhar. 80%
Okay.
of our we will be using Google Colab. So all you just need to have is a Gmail account. Course timings, I'm not the right person. Career IT folks will get back to you on that. Okay. So
Okay.
this is
Okay.
how a Google Colab notebook would look like. I mean, this
Okay.
is the use case call center payment system I'm referring to. Just completed for my previous batch. So this is the Google Colab
After
environment.
usually after the training also it will be available to
Yes, it will be
practice.
available. So another expectation, I'll not be sharing these notebooks right after the session because I want you to make your hands dirty but not copy and paste the code. I want you to type. Okay. But after completion of every module, I'll be sharing all the notebooks corresponding to that module. So for example, I have completed module 1. I'll be sharing all the material I have used for module 1. But recordings would be shared on a daily basis. So for example, I have completed my session, within next 1-2 hours, recording would be shared. Okay, but all these Colab notebooks and all the coding examples, whatever I'm using, will be shared to you after end of every module. Make sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys?
Is this coding wise, it is more or less similar to Java kind of script, or what kind of script it is?
So generally talking about programming or coding wise, Gangadhar,
Yeah.
uh, the concept would always remain same. You talk about a linked list or you talk about a list, the way list behaves is same in Java, C++, or Python. The only
Mhm.
difference would be how you create it and how you use it. The syntax would change. So for example, you don't have a default module or a default function to create a list in C++. So you'll have to implement 100, 150 lines of code using pointers. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if you consider Java and Python, right, you have a list available as a package or a module. You can directly import it and create it. All you just need is 2 lines of code. And again, talking about difference between Python and Java, it's more simpler in Java because Java is a type of programming. Sorry, Python is a type of programming language. You can just create a variable, and the way you create it will let Python compiler understand it's a list. Okay, so these are all
Okay.
syntactical difference. But what happens in the backend and what exactly a list does would be same in Java and Python. Okay, so that's how I look at it. So for example, I know file operations. I know how to read data from a file, how to write data from a file. Okay, so once I have learned that concept, it doesn't matter whether it is Python or Scala or Java, because Google is always there to help me with the syntax.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's just a syntactical difference.
Yeah, I understand.
RAM, most probably it will be in evening RAM, and it will be on weekdays, no weekends. In special cases, I'll be taking on weekends, but that will be on prior intimation. So I will be intimating you at least a week in advance, and I'll also take the voting. So only when 90% of you agree to take a weekend session, only then I'll be taking it. And again, I don't cover any topics during the weekend because for me that 10% is also important. Only workshops or any practice sessions would happen on weekend, that too on voting basis. Okay, mostly it will be on weekdays. I would say 99% of the course would go on weekdays. Okay, it is your batch race and it will be completely driven by you. You say yes, we will say yes. You say no, we'll say no. As simple as that.
Hi
I
Suresh.
cannot display an empty screen.
Hi Suresh. This is Viranjanaidu.
Yeah.
I'm working as a data scientist. Of
Mhm.
course, recently I started my career in IT side. Earlier I was into finance side. I switched over
Okay.
my career. So of course I have a little bit idea about this coding Python, but I'm not full fledged about this. How far it will help me and how quick, how many days of time it may take to go to at least coding part. For my
For
data
you,
science, because you are working as a data engineer, you are aware, you know the requirements for data science is how the coding part required.
it will be a complete course, Viranjanelu. To be very honest, what I would say is, I think you are already aware of NumPy, Pandas, because without Pandas, we will not be running a single application.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. So whatever you learn till that time would be an additional knowledge to you, and you can automate a lot of things using this. Because Python is not, I mean, data science is not always about, running a simple algorithm in Jupyter Notebook or a Google Colab Notebook. You'll have to productionize it.
Correct.
Okay. So this is going to really help you since you already know data science, all the machine learning algorithms, whatever you use, this is going to add a feather on your cap. Okay, so you will be ready for that productionization scripts, or maybe you want to do some automation, or maybe you want to do some cleanup, or maybe you want to do some pre-processing steps. This Python code is going to really help you.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Make sense? And
Yes,
like I
yes.
said,
Thank
we will simple guys. The course duration, like I said, is 6 weeks, and usually I'll be spending almost 5 weeks on module 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so rest everything will happen in last week, because I mean till module 4 I'll be spending almost 5 weeks on these 4 modules itself. And in those 4 modules, this module 3 itself will take 1 week, and module 2 will take 1 week, because these are some important concepts. And people who are into data engineering, who want to get into data engineering and data science, module 3 is of least importance to you. And people who want to get into the full stack development or automation, module 3 is very important, because we never develop data engineering applications or data science applications using classes and objects. It will be on a week. It will be in the evening, Ram. That's for sure. I guess it's going to be from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. or it will be from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. So they'll be confirming one timing after talking to you guys, whichever is preferred by most of you. And it's going to be evening. I don't have any slots available in the morning. I'm already, tightly coupled in morning. Do you provide any use cases for AWS? No. Not just AWS, I'll not touch any of the clouds and I'll not touch any specific use cases to the cloud. So I just want this course to be as a Python course, which would help you to, your exploration from there, help you to get started with your exploration from there.
So Suresh, this course content is already there on the link.
It is there and will be shared with you. You can just get back to your Career IT contact person and they'll be sharing this code to you with you.
Okay.
What date this course start? From tomorrow, most probably, if everything goes well. Like I said, you will be intimated on all these things, guys. So you will again receive a call asking you for your convenient timings and asking you for your convenient date. Like I said, your majority opinion would drive this. Like I said, I cannot teach to an empty screen, but I'm for sure this is going to be an evening batch. Okay. If you don't have any questions, I request you to leave a one-line feedback, guys, before you leave the session, and we are good to go. That's a humble request from me. Just leave a one-line feedback at least, but I'm not stopping you from giving you, more than one-line feedback, but I'm requesting you to give at least one-line feedback.
So one last thing, Suresh, how would the course fee?
Again, I'm not the right person. Just like
Okay.
you are a trainee, I'm a trainer working for Career IT. Okay, so they are the ones who are.
Okay, I need to correct to Career IT. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll not be able to answer any of these administrative questions, guys. I'm sorry about that. Like I said, I forget about I shouldn't be. I don't even know. Okay, they're all a black box to me. Ram, like I said, I'll not be teaching anything specific to automation or anything specific to full stack or anything specific to data engineering. Okay, at the end of the day, when you want to get into automation using Python, you need to use Python. And all the automation related modules you'll have to learn by yourself. Just like, full stack developers learn Django and Flask as their next step. Okay, similarly, when you talk about data scientists, they'll learn NumPy and other things by themselves. Similarly, data engineers learn PySpark post this course. Okay, so this is going to give you wings to fly, but at the end of the day, it's you who have to fly. Hope that answers your question, buddy. Okay, cool. I'll be waiting for your feedback, guys, and we'll close the session in next couple of minutes. And like I said, always setting up the right expectation is very important. And you have any questions, please go ahead and ask, because by the end of this course, I don't want any one of you to be disappointed. And even on payment terms, I don't think you'll have to pay everything in the first session. You will have that buffer of a few sessions in the first week. Okay, you join, listen to the sessions, and only if you are comfortable and only if you are feeling confident, you can go for the payment. That is something which I know. but you'll have a deadline too. You cannot pay at the end of the course. Cool. Thanks, Raj. Okay, I received feedback from only one participant. Fine, no worries. Thank you, guys. Then see you in tomorrow's session, hopefully. Thank you, Amrita. Thank you, Gangadhar. My pleasure.
Thanks, Suresh. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ram.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.